traders, Cousin Benny coming to you from theclosingprint.com, October 4th, 2020. In this edition of your weekend video newsletter, we'll discuss the indices, all of which moved higher last week. Small caps outperformed, while the big cap tech stocks that we follow managed to close green as well. Microsoft was lower, with Roku outperforming last week. Bond stock ratio is bullish. Most of our indicators are bullish, 10 to be exact, with 8 neutral and 2 bearish going into the week. The heat map has started to improve for both the S&P sectors and the international markets. Europe is looking much better. So we'll look at some IBD 50 names this week, stocks from the Market Smith Growth 250 in white, stocks that funds are buying in green, and some of the Dow stocks which outperformed last week, showing relative strength. Bukowski's showing 5 of 5 green with the CPI signal green since September 25th. It's bullish at 96.6%, with 2 bearish patterns, 57 bullish patterns, and 342 patterns waiting for breakout. Again, we have 10 bullish indicators, 8 neutral, and 2 bearish. Short term, we're neutral to bullish, having broken out of that descending wedge a week ago, testing the 50-day at the close on Friday with the S&P 500 gamma resistance at 3,500, support at 3,300 going into this week. Spiders tried to stay above the 50-day moving average on Thursday. Friday, of course, we had the news that the president was stricken with COVID-19, testing positive, as well as the First Lady. So price action did manage to move off the lows. That was an opportunity, but we didn't manage to get back above the 50-day moving average. We're watching for RSI to strengthen and looking for volume to increase. We had a distribution day on Friday. Wednesday and Thursday, we are pretty strong. Volume-wise, we have MACD crossing, and stochastics continues to move higher going into this week. NASDAQ bounced the previous week. Last week, we tried to follow through. RSI still remains above 50, so we'll watch for any follow-through this week. And the FANG stocks volume was pretty significant, and MACD crossed moving lower on the weekly time frame. The performance came from small caps, believe it or not. We had a bullish engulfing candle on IWM. Many in the trading room were watching it and trading it. Last week, we followed through. We got the 9 and 21 day about to cross in a bullish direction. RSI is back above 50, and volume increased Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. MACD gave us a cross, and we're looking for strength in the small caps to continue this week. If the strength does continue, the S&P 1500 composite will most likely follow through. We have the S&P 500, S&P 400 mid caps, and S&P 600 small caps, adding to relative strength as the green line continues to move away from the red line. Histogram is above the signal line at 2, and we had green elder sticks all week. That's bullish, looking for a follow-through this week. If we break down the components of the S&P 1500, advanced decline percent with the S&P 500 in the upper panel, mid caps and small caps in the lower panel, we can see that we bounced off the 200 period moving average, rising, with the S&P 500 moving away quicker, S&P mid cap 400 following through, and the S&P small cap 600, as we just noted, IWM outperforming. We're looking for this to push through the 200-day and continue higher. Breadth is improving. We saw that on NYMO and NAMO, both of which were improving last week, trying to form a bottom, looking for a follow-through. NYSE, NYSI, the summation index is also trying to turn, and we managed to have 3 elder sticks producing a higher low on NYMO and NYSE, while breadth thrust indicators managed to move higher as well. Above the zero line, S&P 500 top panel, advanced decline percent, mid caps, small caps, and the NASDAQ, which started to move a bit lower, showing that the big cap tech stocks weren't doing as well as some of the value stocks and stocks in the S&P 1500. So watch breadth, looking for that to continue to improve this week if we're going to follow through into October OPEX 2 weeks from now. One caveat, of course, is VIX. We're on a red signal on the 60-minute time frame, while the daily remains above 50. If we start to push higher, this would be one caveat that could put some headwind pressure on the markets if volatility continues increasing this week. So keep an eye on VIX, which currently remains in a range between 25 and 30. Finally, there's the Wilshire 5000, a broad measure of market participation. We're sitting right on the 50-period moving average. While the cycle turns upward, we'd like to see the Copox cycle continue to move higher. On this broad index, it's actually only about 3,900 stocks at this point, with the significance being a higher low and a move back above the 50-day. We could see the broad market improve along with breadth if the Wilshire continues higher this week. The S&P 500 weekly chart in the upper panel and the bond stock ratio in the lower panel. The 10-year versus the S&P 500. Whenever this is moving lower, we are bullish. While bonds move lower, yields are moving higher. Here's high yield corporate, HYG. Looking for a follow through. A breakout above that trend line would signal a risk on appetite for investors chasing yields. With the same condition in junk bonds, look for a follow through this week on the weekly time frame. Above the 65-period moving average, you want to see higher highs if you're bullish equities. TLT reflects pretty much all duration bonds. We had the SHI, the 3-year, the IEF 7-10-year, and the 20-year in this case, all moving sideways. They've been doing that for like 30 weeks straight. So there's no change here. The only place to find appreciation in your money is in the stock market at the present time. Currencies are also a place you could put some money. This is the British pound US dollar. Note that we're starting to move above the 21-day. If that continues, that would put some pressure on the FTSE and the London Stock Exchange. While the US dollar came back to the 50-day, tested, looks like a higher low for the third occasion. Looking for a follow through and a test of the 200-day. RSI staying above 50 for the greenback. With the dollar making higher lows, we are anticipating that they could put some pressure on commodities. Copper did pull back on Thursday, managed to take back 3/4 of that move back up near the 3 level. If this continues higher, we want to see that for construction related names, builders, construction products, and home improvement. So look for copper to follow through and move higher, while we keep an eye on gold, which hasn't given up yet. It's below the 50-day, trying to make it back above the 9 and 21-day last week. 50-day will probably offer resistance. We have this descending pattern that most likely will get rejected. Gold prices up against this volume by price band. Watching RSI. If that turns back down, watch for gold to move lower as well. Finally, if you're bullish equities, you want to see crude oil moving higher. This is a positive correlation to the equity market. We did move a bit lower last week. We're in this range above 36 up to about 43. So a 6-point range, high to low. If you're bullish equities, you want to see a breakout above this $42 per barrel mark. That's held us back over the last 6 or 8 weeks. Sector heat map has been improving. Last few weeks we've had nothing but crimson, red, and some orange. Now we're starting to see some yellows and a few lime greens. REITs are improving a bit. We did see some improvement in healthcare providers along with utilities, while semiconductors took it on the nose, and looking for some consumer discretionary to follow through. Also, improvement in the European countries as well as Mexico outperforming, and Greece looks like we could see some follow through there. Additionally, if you are bullish equities, you want to see the XLY consumer discretionary to XLP consumer staples ratio continued to move higher, just like it did back in 2018. Flattened out, gave us plenty of time to get out of the way before that 30% drawdown back in October, November, December 2018. Again, we pointed out previously how we rolled over very quickly in February into March, but even if you missed the gap down on the 24th, this chart was telling you to get out of the way, that institutions were positioning more bearish. Now we have the ratio moving higher, so that's telling you that institutions don't seem to be that concerned at the present time despite the news. So the biggest thing we're watching for this week are the sectors that are moving above the 21 and 50-day moving average, the blue line and red line respectively. Last week late, we also saw Caterpillar, Deere, 3M, Boeing, and a lot of industrial stocks outperforming. So we want to see XLI moving higher. We really need to see financials moving higher. So there was a couple of stocks that looked good, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, that I was reviewing this weekend. So if financials can follow through, we'll have at least 4 sectors that could add to a push higher. XLP might get some action. So keep an eye on the sectors. We'll look for sector strength. We got transports trying to get back above the 21 day. Okay, so we're not out of the woods yet, but it does look okay going into this week. Here is the IBD 50, and if you note the opening monologue, there was only 15 of the IBD 50 that look good enough and set up properly enough to trade this week. So we'll look for some of these to follow through. We did note that there was strength in home builders, the home improvement group, as well as some of the real estate names like Rocket. That continued higher last week, showing relative strength, along with Stamps.com and a few others. So let's take a look at some of these names. Berry was also looking good last week. While the semiconductors pull back, here's Berry. It's trying to get back above the 21-day moving average. Note RSI volume coming in. That's showing you institutions have been picking up shares. Stochastic, I like this setup when you got MACD turning and crossing. You got the momentum with you. The bulls are in it. It's oversold and rising. Most likely we're going to get through the 50-day moving average and test 54.27 in the short term. If on Monday, Tuesday we get above 50 RSI, that's telling you to look for the trend to continue and follow through. The builders, D.R. Horton, following through as well. With a bullish engulfing candle on Friday. Looking for this double top to yield to price action. RSI is rising. We had volume coming in. That's showing you that institutions are picking up shares. MACD's back above its signal line. And stochastic, though overbought, can stay embedded for some time, especially if the trend strengthens. So look for a follow through in builders this week. Some of the banks, as we alluded to, also look good. Check your favorite bank and see how it's doing. FBC, been on the IBD 50 for a couple of weeks now. Nice bullish candle on Friday. We're looking for this kind of price action on many of these stocks this week. Pushing above the 50-day moving average. RSI blasting back above 50. Volume picking up. We would like to see it with a bit higher volume. This is a bit thin for me, but MACD is crossing and stochastics continues to push higher. So most likely we'll see a follow through on FBC this week. Horizon Therapeutics, been on the IBD 50 for a while. RSI remains above 50, but it is moving sideways. Continues to trend above the 9 and 21 day. If we can break above these volume by price bands, we could see blue skies. Volume has been showing institutions picking up shares every so often. While this trend continues, while stochastics remains above 50, with MACD flat and sideways. Remember the strength in real estate and REITs. Those look good. This is Innovative Industrial Properties. They buy and lease out climate-controlled warehouses for the medical cannabis industry. Nice bullish candle on Friday. Looking for a push off of this level. An ascending triangle pattern, more or less. RSI is above 50. Volume is increasing. That's showing that institutions have been picking up shares. And MACD looks like it's going to turn and move higher. With the strength in copper, remember we're looking for home improvement stocks to continue higher. We saw that with Home Depot and Lowe's last week. Nice price action. Look for a follow through. I know many of you are trading this in the room. Looking for a follow through. MACD's turning and stochastics is rising. The little pullback that we had on Friday came on lower volume. Service now looking for a follow through and a breakout. RSI is above 50 and rising. Volume picked up on Friday despite the move lower early on Friday. Institutions did pick up shares as an opportunity. MACD's above its signal line and rising. The only caveat is that stochastics is a bit overbought, but this could turn out to be embedded, just showing that there is a strong trend. Rocket is on the IBD 50. Nice follow through from the Thursday bullish expansion day. Held its price action above the 21-day. Looks like we're going to continue higher. Next level resistance is going to be where bag holders were stuck at 24.60. If we run into that level, maybe take a little bit of profits. If we just blast through that area this week, then look for the next level, this gap overhead around 30, as a potential short-term goal going forward. Note that the real estate market was doing well last week. So this company put together a deal with Realtor.com, I believe it was, and most likely will do the same with others like Zillow and some of the other major real estate websites as part of management's expansion plan. Volume was expanding last week. That looked really good. MACD's turning and stochastics coming from oversold. Looks like a nice follow through for RKT this week. Never been to a Sportsman's Warehouse, but I have to imagine it's a lot like Bass Pro Shops and other retail companies like that, which, by the way, we visited this week with my son. Was very surprised to see how busy the place was. Nice follow through action. Looks like we're going to push above the 50-day this week. We tested it on Friday. Volume coming in, showing you that institutions are picking up shares. Most likely we'll see a follow through as the bulls remain in control. MACD above its signal line and RSI pushing through 50, suggesting there's more upside before it gets overbought. Stamps.com remains on the IBD 50. This one's looking very strong, trending over the last few weeks, back above the 21-day, then the 50-day on Thursday and Friday. RSI is rising, suggesting there's more upside in this particular name. Volume picking up, showing institutions are active. MACD above its signal line and rising. We are above 80 on stochastics, so we could embed and maybe even pull back a little bit, consolidate, but for now it looks like price action wants to keep moving higher, especially considering RSI strength. Additional stocks from the Market Smith Growth 250 down below the IBD 50. Those are in white, and stocks that funds are buying are in green. All of these look pretty good, so make sure you check out some of the names that are on the opening monologue list. Note that all of these look pretty strong for the most part, so you could see some nice follow through this week on many of these stocks. Showing relative strength while the markets were a little bit weak, these continue to move higher. That also goes for the list of stocks noted by IBD that funds are buying. Look for these to follow through as well. Fastly, Fiverr, all look good. DraftKings, continuation, bullish engulfing candle, outperforming, moving through the target that we had several weeks ago of 60, tagging 63 or 64, I believe it was, on Friday. Looking good. CCC looks good. Some of these are a little bit extended, so wait for a little flag or a pullback. But stocks like Lake, these could continue higher this week. Note the volume on Friday. RSI is rising. All of these look really good and should be considered for your trading this week. Okay, traders, this is going to do it for me. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. It is October the 4th, 2020. I've got a lot going on this weekend. I'm moving things from the storage facility into my office. We'll be broadcasting live on Monday through live stream, so hang in there. I'll send out a watch list around 11:30, 12 o'clock on the East Coast and about 10 o'clock on the West Coast. So be sure to look for that in your inbox on Sunday night. Take care, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. See you on Monday.